Hello and welcome back. We're back into the work week. No time for low and slow barbecue, much as I might want to. It's a Monday night, and, well, we gotta eat something. I don't know if you've noticed, I certainly have, that lately it's kind of slim pickings at the meat counter. You kind of just take what you can get, within reason. I don't want to spend $84 for a single ribeye steak. Sometimes it's not even about the cost, though. It's just what's even available. Yesterday, we went to the grocery store looking for something quick to make for tonight, and really about the only thing we found was an okay deal on some boneless, skinless chicken breasts. Now, we've talked before how, generally speaking, we prefer the thigh, because usually it's a lot cheaper, it's a little bit more forgiving for overcooking, things like that. Oddly enough, the store didn't even have any chicken thighs yesterday. Don't know how that happens. Apparently they had birds that had just, sold their thighs on the market or something. Now I'm picturing this situation where chickens have some sort of an illicit trade in their own pieces. Weird. Yeah, so we'll get off of that thought because that's just odd. Now, when you think chicken breasts, you think boring, because they are. There's not a whole lot going on flavor-wise. People tend to overcook them, so they're dry. I mean, it's not your ideal piece of meat. Generally speaking, it's not what you're going to be going to a restaurant for. In light of that, we thought, well, let's bring a little bit more flavor to the party. And so we're going to take these chicken breasts and we're going to stuff them with stuff that actually tastes good. On a couple of these, we're going to stuff them with some chorizo and bacon, and the others we're going to stuff with cheddar and bacon. I like spicy, my wife does not. In both cases, we're going to go ahead and cook the bacon ahead of time. Also going to cook the chorizo just so it's ready to go. We are going to reverse sear these chicken breasts. So essentially we're going to cut them up to stuff them, and then we're going to throw them on the grill and let them come to temp, and then we'll sear them to finish. We're back to using the Expert Grill heavy duty. I'm not going to say all the numbers and stuff because why couldn't they just come up with a good name? The Expert Grill Totalitarian Dictatorship. I'm not a marketer. The reason behind using the Expert Grill in this particular situation, though, is to test out a feature that we kind of sort of covered last time with the movable cooking or coal grate. So basically we want to try to raise the coals up pretty close to the bottom of the cooking grates to see if that provides an even better sear. We'll also see what it does for temperature control as it's lower or higher for the reverse sear portion. So when the breasts are sitting there, just taking on heat and a little bit of smoke, we're going to see, does the temperature change at grate level based on where that position is set. Not an overly complicated or long drawn out smoke this time, but I think we should have some pretty tasty results. So stick around while we get a fire started. Okay, so we've got a temperature of 331 at the grate so far. Interestingly, the thermometer on top of the dome here says just about 450. So quite a discrepancy in temperature. You see quite a bit of smoke here. It's a shorter cook, so we're ramping up the smoke a little. We've got a piece of post oak just kind of sitting off to the side there. It's not directly on the coals, so it generates more smoke. And what we're going to do is we're going to just place these chicken breasts over on the cool side. Well, cooler side. We don't have just a ton of cook surface here with this grate thermometer in here, so we're probably going to have to move that. Okay, that fit everything on here. Now I'm hoping we'll get the lid closed. Now we don't have as accurate a temperature up here, although it will be interesting to see still the difference or the temperature at this warming rack. So we'll find out. I often have people ask me about the secret of my success. Of course, by often I mean once, and by people I mean a guy digging through a dumpster behind a 7-Eleven. Anyway, it's about perspective. It's about where you're standing at the time. And with thermometers in your grill, it's about where they're placed within the grill. It stands to reason that a thermometer that was placed in the coals is probably going to be significantly hotter than a thermometer placed on the other side of the house. So many grills have a thermometer on the very top of the grill, and that gives us almost nothing. It tells us how hot the temperature at the top of the grill is, but you don't cook anything at the top of the grill. You're cooking at grate level. And so it's important to have thermometers at grate level. Now, as you saw on my first foray into expert grills, I actually put some thermometers in the grill hood at grate level. And so far as I can tell, they were quite accurate. In this case, I haven't modified this grill in that way yet, but I'm using a digital thermometer with remote probes, and I've got just little grate adapters that are plugged in to my grates themselves to kind of lock them in and get a temperature. At this point, interestingly, the warming rack's about 365 degrees, and the top thermometer is about 425 degrees. So again, not sure what's going on there. I would certainly expect that middle rack to be quite a bit hotter than the very top of the grill. Hard to say. With our chicken breasts, we're going to cook them to about 150 degrees or so, which is below where you'd want to eat it. But we're going to sear these off to finish, so we don't want to overdo it. Speaking of overdoing it, why did I cook the bacon and the chorizo? Well, it's largely because I'm putting inside of raw chicken. Beef and pork, those kinds of things, I don't worry so much. Chicken, it seems like every other week there's a salmonella recall or something on poultry. And so you really can't be too careful. Now, you're still putting cooked ingredients instead of raw ingredients. There's still that potential for, that kind of carryover. But our probes are inserted in the middle of the chicken. And as long as we can get to about 165, it should be fine. Also, because we are doing a reverse sear and the temperature is going to take longer to come up on the inside of the bird, but it's going to come up relatively evenly, there's not really any risk of like double cooking the chorizo or the bacon or overcooking or making it too overdone, those sorts of things. It's going to be pretty gentle. Okay, so we are sitting at about 144 degrees on one of them, 140 on the other, 333 now on the grate thermometer. I'm going to go ahead and take a look. Okay, and we can clearly see here that the ones that I didn't season heavily, which was, by the way, because the seasoning is just a bit hot, and I don't want to offend anybody's delicate sensitivities. But you can see, it still kind of looks like raw bird on the outside, right? I mean, it doesn't have a lot of color, not particularly appetizing if we're honest. but internally they are getting closer to that temp, and so they are coming up. And if we could see the bottoms, I'm not going to flip them, but if we could see the bottoms, you know, those are probably a little bit more done. I'm going to move these probes around a little bit to make sure we're getting consistent temps. Yeah, so as I suspected, moving these around, it's significantly lower temps, right? And so you do want to do that a lot with chicken to make sure you're finding a spot that's actually in the center of the bird, that's actually in the deep meat, right? Because that's what needs to come to temp. So now we're closer to like 115 on these spots. So we'll check again in a little bit and adjust as needed. But, you know, these are coming along pretty well. We're, I don't know, maybe 25 minutes into this cook. I kind of sort of budgeted about an hour of time. So we'll see what we look like in another 15 minutes or so. Okay, so quick update. I have been kind of messing with the position of this a little bit, and I decided, well, we need to check the bottom of these to make sure they're not cooking. They kind of are. Not heavily. It's still not done, right? But I want to make sure that we don't get those bottoms overdone before we're ready to actually sear these off. So I'm going to go ahead and flip them. Pull these thermometers quick. Again, not really like fully cooked or anything, although they are kind of pretty. But you know, just want to make sure we're kind of even. You can still see kind of some of the lines and whatnot to the grain of the meat. So this is just a preventative step. Now we'll take and put our probes in on this side. Yeah, and even here we're temping, you know, 126 or so on these ones that are farther away. So we got a little bit to go yet, but wanted to make sure that these don't come out charred on one side. One kind of neat thing about this arrangement is when you need to add coals, you can open this firebox door and chuck them in. Probably isn't 100% necessary here, as I think we're getting close to the end of the cook, but I wanted some additional fuel. Pretty excellent shot, if I do say so myself. Just a quick note regarding the shirt. Not wearing my normal Cold War Barbecue or Dodgers shirts, or I guess Rangers sometimes as well. I like sports. I just want everybody to know that I'm not endorsing drinking. I never drink during the week, except on Mondays, because Mondays are terrible, right? So Monday evening, well, that's fine. Well, and then Tuesday, I guess you have like $2 Tuesday at the ballpark, so it's actually pretty cheap for beer. Well, then Wednesday night, usually that's when we do get-together stuff, and so, yeah, I might have a, you know, an old-fashioned or two. But, you know, beyond that, I guess you also have Thirsty Thursdays, you know, I mean, kind of a given. And then Friday, does that even count as a weekday? I mean, I don't think so. It's the start of the weekend. Other than those 5 days, I don't drink during the week. Yeah, I'm ever. Okay, most of our probes are somewhere in the 140-degree range. Remember, we want to pull the bird at about 160 so that carryover heat can take over with the rest. We're going to go ahead and sear them at this point. Probably going to go from the 140 to 143, whatever it is, up to right around 160. But if it doesn't, after a good sear, we'll just pull it back for just a minute. Take this opportunity to kind of check the bottom. Yeah. Bottom's still nowhere near done. Pulling these probes for the moment. We'll use them again in a minute. And this grate, the bottom grate is up as high as it'll go, so we're as close to the coals as we can get. I do see just a bit of cheese is dripped down there. I don't know how the fire gods feel about cheese, but I guess we'll find out. Just kind of turning these a little bit to give them some more even heating. You may have noticed too, we've got more smoke again. I've actually moved the log a little bit closer to the coals so that it would ramp up the smoke again. Again, with these quicker cooks, I like to hit it pretty heavy with smoke because it's not going to be enough to make it like that acrid taste or anything like that. But you do want some of the smoke flavor, and this is how you would do it. Also important to mention that this is also where you can use those woods that generally be too pungent for a longer cook, like mesquite. Mesquite's almost a flavor in and of itself for chicken breasts. You can get by with just maybe a little bit of salt and pepper on the breast and some mesquite wood, and you're going to have an awesome dinner. All right, time to flip these guys. Now we're whiter on the top here, where we want to be. Also, if you didn't have a thermometer, and I highly recommend that you do, you can kind of tell beyond just the color that they're getting closer to done because the texture on the outside is going to change, right? It's not going to be as soft for one thing, but you're not going to see those lines anymore that you see early on in the process. You're not going to see the kind of the, I don't know, spongy look that chicken can get. It's going to look more like what you'd expect out of a chicken breast. I was about to say what a chicken breast would look like when you ordered at a restaurant, but who is ordering chicken breasts at a restaurant? I check these pretty relentlessly once we get close, because this is one of those things where, guys, I'm sorry, it is an exact science. Nobody wants to get sick from dinner. Now, have I cooked chicken without a thermometer? Of course. I've done it many times, and especially the flatter you make it, like if you butterflied these and open them up or whatever, you're relatively safe. When we're stuffing them and they're thick like this, that's when you got to be careful. Beyond the food poisoning aspect of it, it just doesn't seem very appetizing, right? I mean, you think of a nice, juicy, rare steak, you know, that beautiful red color, versus on a chicken, that kind of weird pinkish beige. Ugh, it just doesn't sound good. Another thing you can do if you don't have a thermometer is you could, of course, you know, if it looks like it's getting close to done, take it off and cut it open. If it's nice and white on the inside and it cuts real evenly, real smoothly, it's done. So we kind of peel that back and you can see what I'm talking about. This is definitely pretty close to done, and this is below the surface, right? It's still juicy, but it's completely white and cooked. We're just waiting on that other side to finish up just a bit. All right, probes are pulled. Birds are about 160. Some about a 162 or so. That's okay. And we are ready to eat. Well, admittedly, I'm a little biased, but I thought that turned out very well. It was a quick and easy thing to do, and it definitely, spices up the equation when you go from just a boring chicken breast to, stuffing it with chorizo and bacon and cheese and those sorts of things. Making the ordinary the extraordinary. Marketing's not my strong suit. I hope you found this valuable and useful for a quick weeknight meal. It's especially helpful when you're already drunk and everybody's asking why you haven't made dinner yet. This is easy to do. Maybe be careful with the knife. We're going to put together some other meal ideas for weeknights, things like that, things you can still do on the grill or the smoker, but they don't take a tremendous amount of time, right? Something you can get done quickly, something you don't have to spend all day on a cook for. Nothing wrong with spending all day on a cook. I do it all the time, but life doesn't always work out that way. Thanks for sticking around and watching this. Let us know your thoughts about this in the comments. And if you enjoyed what you saw, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, especially friends that are maybe weekday dinner challenged. Till next time, it's been Cold War Barbecue.